The time for convening has arrived. The Senate will come to order. At this time, I will ask all unauthorized personnel to exit the chamber. Senator from the 28th, you look like you're the lone soldier today, except for the senator from the 24th. But tell us about the journal.
I like to report to duty on time, Mr. President. So today, we've got 4 great pages, about said pledges, 4 great pages today. We've got Malia Clausell, and Shamera Clausell, who all happen to be the grandchildren of our distinguished senator from the 35th. So we welcome them. And then we also have Evie Owens here with us as well. So y'all, please welcome our pages, and we appreciate y'all being here. So thank you for that. So, on this day in 2015, the Atlanta Hawks set a new NBA monthly win record as they moved to 17-0 in January. And I think we got about 17 wins since then, so we're doing good. But today is National Hot Chocolate Day, Scotch Tape Day, Eat Brussels Sprouts Day. That's for you, Senator. And it's also Backwards Day. Mr. President, the journal has been read and found to be complete.
All right. That sounds good, Senator. We still got to work on your facts and figures, though, man. This is I'm worried about you. You know, Scotch Tape Day here. So, all right. So, is there objection to dispensing of the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. And the reading of the journal is dispensed. Is there objection to confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none. And the journal is confirmed. All senators who have bills and resolutions to introduce, please bring them to the Secretary's desk at this time. First reading and references of Senate bills and resolutions.
Senate Bill 39 by Senators Jackson of the 41st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 23 of Title II relating to the Georgia Hemp Farming Act so as to allow persons convicted of any misdemeanor or certain felonies to grow industrial hemp, to repeal conflicting laws and for other purposes. Senate Bill 40 by Senators C of the 34th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 4 of Chapter 11 of Title 16 relating to carrying. Senate Bill 41 by Senators William of the 25th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 7 of Title 52 relating to registration, operation, and sale of watercraft.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 42 by Senators Hodges of the 3rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 16547 relating to posting model notice with human trafficking hotline information.
Public safety.
Senate Bill 43 by Senators Jackson of the 41st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 1 of Article 5 of Chapter 9 of Title 45.
Insurance and labor.
Senate Bill 44 by Senators Hatchett of the 50th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Title 16 relating to crimes and offenses so as to provide for mandatory minimum penalties. Senate Bill 45 by Senators Anna Vitarte of the 31st and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Part 3 of Article 16 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 relating
Children and family.
Senate Bill 46 by Senators Huffstedler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 17 of Title 31 relating to control of sexually transmitted disease so as to
Health
require.
and Human Services.
Senate Bill 47 by Senators Huffstedler of the 52nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 16 relating to offenses against public health and morals so as to provide that
Health
vaping.
and Human Services.
Senate Bill 48 by Senators James of the 35th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 12 of Title 50 relating to commissions and other agencies so as to.
Government oversight.
Senate Bill 49 by Senators James of the 35th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 12 relating to waste management so as to prohibit the distribution of certain bags made from
Natural
plastic.
resources.
Senate Bill 50 by Senator Burns of the 23rd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 relating to elementary and secondary education so as to provide that
Education
local.
of youth.
Senate Bill 51 by Senators Islam of the 7th and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 8 of Title 48 relating to sales and use taxes so as to exempt the sale or use of certain menstrual products, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting.
Finance.
Senate Bill 52 by Senators Parent of the 42nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 22-161.3
Higher
relating.
education.
Senate Bill 53 by Senators Parent of the 42nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 1 relating to primaries and elections generally so as to provide for a permanent absentee voter list, to provide.
Ethics.
Senate Bill 54 by Senator Parent of the 42nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 21 relating to elections and primaries generally so as to revise the qualifications of poll officers, to provide for related matters, to repeal conflicting laws, and for other
Ethics.
purposes. Senate Bill 55 by Senators Parent of the 42nd and others, a bill to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 80 of Title 36 relating to general provisions relative to counties, municipal corporations, and other governmental entities, so as to prohibit the regulation of businesses of persons.
Economic development.
Senate Resolution 55 by Senator Harrell of the 40th and others, a resolution to ratify a proposed amendment.
Judiciary.
That completes the order, Mr. President.
Secretary will read reports on the standing committees.
Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Judiciary has had under consideration the following legislation and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation. Senate Resolution 32 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Senator Strickland of the 17th District Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President. Mr. President, the Senate Committee on Assignments has had under consideration the following appointment to the Judicial Qualifications Commission. Mr. Warren Selby, appointed by the President of the Senate, and has instructed me to report the same back to the Senate with the following recommendation, that the appointment be confirmed as submitted. Respectfully submitted, the Honorable Burt Jones, Chairman. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Is there any motions to excuse? Hold off on the motion to excuse because we've got second readings. So, Secretary, read the bills for the second time.
Senate Bill 11 by Senator Albers of the 56th and others, Georgia Fights Terrorism Act enact. That completes the order, Mr. President.
It is now time for the morning roll call. Anyone like to be excused? Senator from the 21st, what purposes rise?
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 27th for a bit.
Without objection, the senator from the 27th will be excused. Senator from the 40th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Never mind.
Senator from the 33rd.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President. I ask for unanimous consent to excuse the senator from the 43rd, 36th, and 10th, and 38th.
Without objection, the senator will excuse the senator from the 43rd, the 36th, the 10th, and the 38th. Senator, have you become the designated excusee for your caucus? He's the chosen? All right. Doing a great job, Senator. Any other motions to be excused? Secretary will call roll of senators. Please signify your presence by voting the yay switch. Secretary will unlock the machine. It is now time for our morning devotion. All senators, please take your seats and cease audible conversation. I would ask that the doorkeepers secure the chamber at this time. I'd like to call on my good friend from the 56th to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and introducing the chaplain of the day.
Thank you, Governor. Please rise and join me in Pledge Allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now to the Georgia flag. I pledge allegiance to the Georgia flag and to the principles for which it stands, wisdom, justice, moderation, and courage. Good morning. I'm very excited to introduce our pastor of the day. He will be no stranger to most of you who are here. Pastor Wes Cantrell is the discipleship pastor of First Baptist of Woodstock, which is one of the largest congregations in my district and candidly throughout the entire state of Georgia. He is married to his wife Jane, and they have 6 children, 2 boys and a girl, 2 daughter-in-laws, and a son-in-law. He has 1 grandson with another one coming very shortly, another grandchild. He completed his undergraduate work at Georgia Tech University, as well as his master's in seminary in Southwest Seminary. Wes served in the House of Representatives representing Cherokee County for 8 years and just retired last year. I do want to tell a quick story before he comes up. We were all marching in the July 4th parade in Woodstock, in fact, riding on top of my fire engine one year. And as we rode down the main street of Woodstock, Georgia, the outpouring of children and families that wanted to say hi to Pastor Wes and the amazing impact that he had had on them about teaching them about the Lord, about family, and his character and values that he espoused every day was really humbling and overwhelming. I'm very glad to have him here today, and he always wanted to make it to the Senate chamber, and today was his opportunity to do so. So please welcome our very own Pastor Wes Cantrell.
So this is the Senate. I finally made it over here. I see some of my colleagues from the lower chamber made it over here legitimately, whereas I got invited, so I'm happy to be here. So glad to see so many familiar faces. Had several people in the hallway think I was here that I'd become a lobbyist, but that's not happened. People said, "Wait a minute, did you lose your election?" I said, "No," and they said, "Did you retire?" I said, "No, I quit." 8 years was enough, but I'm glad to be back. So many great memories of my time here at the Capitol, and I do want to say just a word of how grateful I am to every single one of you, because I know firsthand what it takes to run for office, to serve. You're overworked, underpaid. I tried to fix that several times, but some of you made sure that didn't happen. But I do appreciate very much. We have a lot of policy disagreements, I know, but I think at the end of the day, we all know that we're here to make the lives of Georgians better and to work together as much as possible to do that. I decided today just to kind of speak to you from my heart for just a few minutes, and then we'll pray together. People value appearance at a ridiculous rate. We really care about how we look, and we do all kinds of things to look better. Surgery, diets, all kinds of things. And it's really unfortunate. I remember years ago, a congressman from Missouri ran for president, a guy named Richard Gephardt. Some of you guys are old enough to remember him. He was a good guy. Ran for president, wasn't getting much traction in the primary, and his consultant told him that, "Hey, we've discovered why people aren't supporting your campaign." And he said, "Why?" And he said, "Because you've got blonde hair and your eyebrows do not show up on television. And people just won't support a candidate that doesn't have eyebrows." True story. So he utilized some makeup, darkened his eyebrows, went up 10 points in the polls. Didn't change any policy, no great rollout of a new policy or anything. Appearance. Appearance. The value of appearance has gone back long before our time. You go back into the scriptures, all the way back in the book of Samuel. The people of Israel decided they didn't want God as their king anymore. They wanted to have a king like the other countries around them. So they begged God to let them have a king. And he gave in, and he allowed it. And they chose as their king a guy who was described as the most handsome person in all the land, who stood head and shoulders taller than anyone else. His name was Saul. If you're familiar with the story, you know that Saul turned out to be a pretty lousy king because he was chosen based upon appearance, not based upon what he really believed in and his convictions. As a result of that poor choice, Samuel was sent to the house of Jesse to choose the next king of Israel. Jesse had 8 sons. Jesse's oldest son was named Eliab. He was a tall, good-looking guy, and when he walked in the room, the Bible says that Samuel thought to himself, surely this is the guy. Samuel was ready, based upon appearance, to make the same mistake again with Eliab that Israel had already made with Saul. And fortunately, at that point, God intervenes in the process, and he says these words to Samuel. 1 Samuel 16, chapter 7. But the Lord said to Samuel, do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature. I particularly like that part. Do not look on his appearance or on the height of his stature, because I have rejected him. For the Lord sees not as man sees. Man looks on the outward appearance, but the Lord looks on the heart. So I would submit to you today that as senators, as statesmen, as people that are looking out for the best interest of Georgia, we should make an effort to find out the heart of people before we make any determination about how good of a leader they are. And how do you know a person's heart? You must get to know them. You must spend time with them. You must ask questions of them. You must build a relationship with them. There are people in this chamber today that I am good friends with who I don't know that we would agree ever on any policy matter. Stop laughing, Derek. But they know that I value them, and I know they value me as a person first. And we can search and search. There's a new member of your chamber here that I tried. He's one of my, I count him as a close friend, but we could not find anything that we agreed upon policy-wise. Finally, one time, he talked me into co-sponsoring a bill of his, and it just about cost me my job, okay? But try to find areas of agreement, but also focus on the heart of the other individual. Don't judge people based upon their appearance. I'm 61 years of age. When I was about 12 years old, we had clocks and we had radios, but they had not figured out how to put those two into a clock radio. So that clock radio was the iPhone of 1972, okay? So I decided I wanted a clock radio for Christmas that year, and I asked for it. And we were opening Christmas gifts, and my grandfather died when I was 1 year of age on my mother's side, so I never knew him. But my grandmother was kind of known for giving very practical gifts. And so my parents, every time before my grandmother, Mamaw Winnie is what we called her, before Mamaw Winnie would give us our gifts, my parents would prepare us and say, hey kids, you know, your grandmother loves you. Just know it comes from love. And then you open it up and it'd be a pair of sweat socks or a towel or an undershirt. She was just very practical because she grew up very, very poor. So that year, dreaming of the clock radio, opening up Mamaw Winnie's gift to me, and I rip open the cover, and it's a clock radio. And I immediately go into celebration mode because I was expecting a pair of sweat socks, and I got the thing that I wanted for Christmas. And I went into celebration mode. I jumped up and down, I was cheering, and my grandmother said these words to me. 4 words: Hold on there, Sonny. Hold on there, Sonny. And I knew I was in trouble because hold on there, Sonny meant that my Mama Winnie had bought herself a clock radio and used the box to give me my Christmas gift that year. I had already celebrated. I was in trouble. I opened up the box, and my grandmother had given me a ceramic squirrel. If you knew my grandmother, I guarantee you some person on the side of the road was selling them. She felt sorry for the situation, wanted to help him out, bought me a ceramic squirrel. So for the rest of my life, I have been telling people, don't make the box mistake. And a lot of times when we look at people, we make the box mistake because they look like a clock radio on the outside, but inside, they might just be a ceramic squirrel. So you got to take the time to invest in people, get to know their heart, and find out what they're really about. And I bet you in this chamber, you would find out that we have a lot in common about how much we care about the people of Georgia and doing what's right by them. Would you join me as we pray? Father, thank you so much for the men and women in this chamber. Thank you for their willingness to serve our state, to serve our people. We know the hours are hard. We know the pay is low. And so we're grateful, Lord, for them taking time out from their families, from their spouses, from their businesses, from their nonprofits, from their ministries, from all the different things they could be doing today. Thank you that you led them to join us down here at the Georgia Senate. So I pray that you'd give them great wisdom. I pray that you would grant them favor with the parties that they need to have favor with as they try to advance things that are going to make our lives better here in Georgia. And we pray all this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
if I could have the Senate's attention real quick. We're going to go a little bit out of order today. We've got some special guests. Actually, obviously, we have Kia on your desk here as our special guest today. We've got all the North American leaders of the Kia organization, but they're over in the House right now, and so we're going to move ahead to points of personal privilege. And so, if anyone would like to come up here as a point of personal privilege, you can go ahead and do that now. This will be the appropriate order. Thank you. It is my honor today to call on the senator from the 39th to introduce the Doctor of the Day.
Good morning, colleagues. I am excited to introduce Dr. Uma Menon. She is a board-certified neurologist and epileptologist who joined the Department of Medicine at Morehouse School of Medicine as an associate professor and the chief of the Division of Neurology in 2021. She has published extensively and has presented at national and international meetings. She is truly a patient and physician advocate. She has now started a neurology residency training program at Morehouse School of Medicine as she continues her work on ethics, advocacy, equity in neurology and medicine. A couple of facts, though, on neurology that I think are really striking that I wanted to share. Neurology disorders affect 1 in 6 people, and in the entire state of Georgia, with a population of almost 11 million, there are only 449 practicing neurologists here. There is a projected shortage. There's a projected shortfall in supply by 19% by 2025, and the average wait today to be seen by a neurologist is 32.3 days. So we especially appreciate the work that she's doing, especially with the residency training program, so that we can get more neurologists trained and at the avail of Georgians as they need them. Dr. Menon.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you all for your service to the state of Georgia, especially to improve the health of all Georgians. Again, I just wanted to highlight the neurology, the importance of neurology. The four most common neurological disorders are headache, stroke, dementia, and seizures. 1 in 2 adults have headaches, and stroke, in the state of Georgia, it's the 12th highest death rate. And dementia, 60 to 70% is from Alzheimer's disease, and the total deaths from Alzheimer's disease are more than breast and prostate cancers combined. And modifying 12 risk factors will delay or prevent up to 40% of dementias. And in terms of seizures, 1 in 26 will develop epilepsy in their lifetime, and 25% is preventable. Thank you again.
I recognize the senator from the 19th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege really is an announcement. I'm going to make it again at the end, but it's really important. I want to make sure that the subcommittee chairs of appropriations hear this. We have a meeting today. It's been sent to your administrative assistants. It's been sent to you, but I know the session gets busy and folks forget. But Subcommittee of Appropriations chairs, today, upon adjournment of rules or noon, whichever is later, we have a meeting to go over what we think the next 2 weeks may look like and begin to lay out our budget process. So if you're a subcommittee chair of appropriations, today, upon adjournment of rules or upon 12 o'clock, whichever one is later, please meet downstairs in the conference room in between the appropriations office and the majority leader's office. We'll have a sandwich or a little box lunch for you too. Thank you a lot. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Recognize the senator from the 25th for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I come to you, along with my fellow senator, as a very old fraternity worldwide. Some of them refer to us as traveling men. Some refer to us as people who build brick walls. You know what a brick is. But we're forming a kind of a group to get together between the House and the Senate of joint traveling men to come together to just a fellowship. So if any of you are among us and you wish to join us, we wish to invite you.
The gentleman has said exactly that. If you are a traveling man, we would love to connect with you in fellowship and brotherhood.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, senators, and I know y'all are being initiated into the Senate body right now, but we do things a little different over here, and so we can't have two people in the well at the same time, but that's okay though. You know, you're learning, so. Senator from the 34th, you need to give him a lesson here, all right? So I now recognize the senator from the 31st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Senate. I rise on a point of personal privilege because I was sharing with the LG and he said we were killing time, so I'm killing time. But on a serious note, I'm reading that it's a congratulations for John for being named a 2022 Heisman School Scholarship winner for South Cobb High School. At South Cobb, Eagle student athlete John C. Oliver for being named the 22 Heisman High School Scholarship winner for South Cobb High School. John is my daughter's firstborn, and John is what we call him because my dad is a John and his dad is a John, so John is a John. But John literally grew up in this body. I've been bringing him down here since he was an infant, but now he's standing 6'3". He's the point guard at his school. He's gotten at least 18 offers to universities. He just signed one of those offers, and I do believe it's to Alabama, which is where his grandfather, my husband, was born and raised, so he's an Alabama fan. So since we're killing time, I just want to talk about my grandkids again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the will.
I'd like to recognize a couple of our former colleagues here today. We've got the honor of having former Senator Judson Hill here today. Judson, good to have you here. Good to have you here, Judson. We had Senator P.K. Martin here as well earlier today, but I think he left the chamber now. But if you see P.K., give him well wishes, because I saw him as we were doing the devotional earlier today. So I call on the senator from the 31st for a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to recognize some folks. I don't know if they're here in the gallery yet or not, but with the Georgia Youth Science and Technology Centers and the teachers and staff and leaders who have promoted STEM throughout our state and across Metro Atlanta to build the science and technology and math capacity in our up-and-coming generation as we talk about workforce and the future of Georgia's economy. So I just want to recognize all of those Don Cargill STEM scholars and congratulate them and thank them for being here today. And I don't know if any of them are here. If they're not, just want to tell them, thank you for everything you do. I know we've got some teachers from Paulding County, Carroll County, and some other counties. So thank you for everything that you all do, and God bless. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 28th, would you like to rise on a point of personal privilege?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to take this time to let the Rules Committee know that we will be meeting upon adjournment. We have our first bill. And for those of y'all that know me, I'm not really much into drama, so not going to be that exciting of a day, but we'll try to entertain as best we can with our great bill we've got coming from the senator from the 56th. So if you'll give us about 15 minutes from adjournment, that's when we'll meet. So thank you, Mr. President. I yield the will.
Thank you, Senator. Senator from the 50th, I'd like to rise on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just rise today to recognize a group from my district, from Rabun County, the Rabun County Youth Leadership from Rabun County High School. I think they may still be in the house. They're moving a little slow, I hear today. But if and when they get over here, just want to welcome them and thank you, Mr. President. I'll yield the will.
We have a special guest here with us today. Secretary, read the resolution.
Senate Resolution 54 by Senator Robertson of the 29th, a resolution committing Kia's vehicle manufacturing and impact on the state and recognizing January 31st, 2023 as Kia Day at the state capitol and for other purposes. Whereas Georgia is a center of automobile manufacturing and home to Kia's assembly plant in West Point, Georgia, and whereas the automobile manufacturing industry in Georgia is resilient and growing. And whereas Kia Georgia has contributed over $20 million to the local community, promoting education, diversity and inclusion, health and wellness, and environmental preservation. And whereas since establishing its assembly plant in 2009 in West Point, Georgia, Kia has invested more than $1.9 billion in the state of Georgia. And whereas Kia Georgia employs more than 3,000 team members and is responsible for more than 14,000 plant and supplier jobs in the region. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate that the members of this body commend Kia of Georgia and recognize January 31st, 2023 as Kia Day at the state capitol. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. It is now my honor to call on the senator from the 29th, and it is a special day, and we always like to talk about new industries that are coming to the state of Georgia, and people wanting to move out of other states and come to a more business-friendly environment like Georgia's. And sometimes we forget about the ones who've been with us for a while. Kia is, and we're proud to have Kia as one of their main manufacturing centers in West Point, Georgia. They've been here since 2008. They've employed over 3,000 people here in this state, and they want to grow their business here. And so I always like to say we love new business, but we like to also partner with our existing businesses to see how we can help them grow as well. So it is my honor now to call on the senator from the 29th to introduce our special guest.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Mr. President. Anyone, and I know the senator from the 28th understands what I'm talking about, that in the early 90s and early 2000s, we saw devastation in West Georgia when the textile industry started shutting down here and moving their operations outside of the United States. And no matter what your sector was, whether you were in the private sector or the public sector, we realized the catastrophic results that would happen in West Georgia if we were not able to bring in somebody, or if we could not find a partner who was willing to come to West Georgia and work with us and provide the jobs necessary. And so when we first found out that there was an auto manufacturer by the name of Kia coming, well, we did what everybody else did. We said, what is Kia? And wow, did we learn really fast what Kia was. Kia was much more than an auto manufacturer. Kia came in, not only did they employ 3,000 West Georgians and a few East Alabamians, because we want to, hand out that olive branch every once in a while, but they changed the community. They changed the absolute energy that was there in West Georgia, West Point, LaGrange, Columbus, Meriwether County, Noonan, throughout that entire area, their impact, because not only were they a manufacturer, not only were they a place of employment, but they were a partner in the community. Anything that needed, and whether it was elementary school, high school, tech school, or college, Kia became involved. Whether it was the philanthropic community that was there in those areas that needed support, Kia was always sitting at the table wanting to be a part of the solution. So to say that Kia is an auto manufacturer in West Georgia is an understatement. They are actually part of the DNA that is West Georgia today. And I can't thank them enough for what they've done for West Georgia and what they've done for the state of Georgia, because I promise you, these other manufacturers who are coming here are looking at the success of Kia and hoping that they have as much success by following that same blueprint. And with that said, to follow through with the introductions, I would like to introduce my friend, good friend, Stuart, who is the man in charge there in West Point, Georgia, with Kia. Stuart.
Lieutenant Governor Jones and the honorable members of the Senate, I'm joined today by Sean Yoon, our President and CEO of Kia North America, and also 3 of our distinguished team members that represent those 3,000 employees mentioned in West Point, Georgia. On behalf of our Kia Georgia team and our corporate partners around the world, the support of our operations cannot be expressed enough for what you do for us. When Kia made the decision to locate its first U.S. manufacturing facility in West Point, there was a high level of confidence in the possibilities of the success of the Kia brand. In April, we will surpass 4 million vehicles assembled in Georgia by these 3,000 Kia Georgia team members. The automotive industry is rapidly evolving, with Georgia quickly becoming a center point of change. Kia's history of success and its forward-looking vision are due to the support and cooperation from the members of this distinguished body, both past and present. We thank you for your leadership and commitment to making Georgia a great place to live, work, and raise a family, and for your service to the millions of Georgians that call this great state home. Thank you.
Senator from the 25th would like to rise on a point of personal privilege.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to remind, we have a joint meeting today of the retirement of the Senate and of the House. Lunch will be in room 510, and our meeting will be at 2 p.m. at CLOB room 406. Thank you.
You have a consent calendar of privilege resolutions before you. Does any senator wish to remove a resolution from the consent calendar? Chair hearing none. Is there objection to the adoption of the resolution on the consent calendar? Chair hears none, and the resolution on the consent calendar is adopted. Are there any motions to withdraw or commit? I recognize the majority leader for a motion. Got it?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate stand adjourned until 10 a.m. Wednesday, February 1st.
Secretary, read the announcements.
The Rules Committee meeting will occur upon adjournment in 450 of the Capitol. The Children and Families Committee meeting is canceled. The Joint Retirement Committee meeting will happen at 2 p.m. in 406 CLOB. The Veterans, Military, and Homeland Security Committee will meet at 2 p.m. in 125 in the Capitol. The Joint Education and Youth Committee and the Higher Education Committee meeting will happen at 2:30 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. And the Regulated Industries and Utility Committee will meet at 4 p.m. in 450 of the Capitol. That completes the order, Mr. President.
Thank you. I recognize the senator from the 19th, the distinguished appropriations chairman. Hard at work right now.
Thank you, Mr. President. Appreciate those kind words. Just a reminder again, Subcommittee of Appropriations Chairman, please come meet with us today at noon or upon adjournment of rules, whichever is later. We're going to go through the process of everything that you've been asking me for the past hour. Thank you so much. See you this afternoon.
Thank you, Senator. The majority leader has moved that the Senate stand adjourned until February 1, 2023 at 10 a.m. tomorrow. All those in favor of his motion signify by saying aye. All those opposed? No. The ayes clearly have it. We're adjourned.